In a year that the NRL would so far rather forget, Todd Greenberg had a night to remember last night with the introduction of 5 new immortals and what has turned out to be a really positive experience for the NRL. Now, you cannot argue with the 5 that have been put in.
Absolutely. I think last night was rugby league at its finest, and the new immortals are Dally Messenger, Frank Burge, Dave Brown, Norm Provan and Mal Meninga. How are we feeling about that?
I love it. It's like an adult game of playing cards, really, isn't it? When you used to trade... My first ever great playing card was a Daily Messenger gold card, and that was worth like 5 packs of gum or whatever like that. But I thought it was great. It's good to nod to the history.
You're obviously 300 years old, which is good. I think you can't... The fact that what they've done is that they've taken the names pre-war, before this whole thing happened, before the NRL took over it, they only did post-war players. And the reason they did that was because their theory was no one's seen them play before that, so you can't judge.
Yeah.
Now, there are obviously 3 names that are greats of the game. For them to make the decision, and they kept it under wraps, it was completely secret what they did, to put all 3 of them through, I think it's just catching up on history, really.
Yeah, and I think I was reading lots of interviews from the Messenger family saying that they were quite distressed that that Daly hadn't been named before this, and so it was just putting history right, I think. And I watched the ceremony last night, and it was just, you know, footy gets a lot of things wrong. I think we can be a bit ham-fisted at times, but we just really got that right. It was beautiful the way that they did it, and it was just beautiful. All the blazers. I loved all the blazers.
You do love a blazer.
I do love a blazer.
To be fair, you love the skivvies at the New South Wales State
I did.
A crime against fashion.
I loved the difference between the Hall of Fame had their silver blazers and then like the Immortals had the gold blazers. Just little touches like that. I think it was just really beautifully done.
Now, Andy, you're a proud Queenslander.
I am.
Mal Meninga has he, to me, had to be there. The things that he did for the game, it's not necessarily for me about the stats. You look at the stats, games played, tries scored.
Yeah.
Mal Meninga dominated an era of football, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And he was one of the first in the Queensland State of Origin as well. And had and Wally Lewis not given what they gave to Origin, we wouldn't have this amazing game that we celebrate now. And just on last night as well, I like the touch of their heroes presenting the jackets to them, like Wally Lewis giving Gordon the jacket. Who gave Ricky his? There were heaps.
Yeah, and Edie gave it to Steve Menzies, and that was gorgeous. And Gordon Tallis' speech, I mean, I'm such a blue, but his speech about representing Queensland, Gordon cried.
Yeah.
And, you know, talking about all the volunteers and people from country towns, and I think, it was obviously such an emotional night for everybody. Yeah, Mal, an immortal. Mal Meninga's an immortal now. And God...
He should be.
As well he should be, yeah.
The thing with, I think, the NRL's had a problem with, I guess, the way they've sold themselves this year, and the problems that they've had have been a lot to do with communication. Now, what they managed to do last night was take 10 names, where if they'd have chosen 2, there's 8 people that would have missed out, where people could have made a case that their favourite should have been in. Yeah. They've taken that narrative out because they've put 5 in. They've put 3 in that... I mean, you cannot have Daly Messenger not as an immortal. If it wasn't for Daly Messenger, rugby league in this country probably doesn't exist because he came across from rugby union and he gave it a profile.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Now...
He created it.
The issue they're going to have from now on is every 4 years there's going to be 2 more inductees. Do you think that means that the players now that have missed out, because in the next round, some of the greats of the game that have just retired are going to come through? Does that mean now that they've done with the pre- and post-war players and it's all going to be more current era players now?
I would like to think so. I feel like last night was a nod to the history, and it's always good to have that nod there, especially with those 2 people like you were talking about. Summers is on the trophy, for God's sake. We have to have him as immortal. But To backtrack is it's almost like letting history rewrite itself. I think we just got to look forward now, and there's always going to be great players that miss out on a nod for immortal status, but that's kind of adding to the grandiosity of the award, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see Alan Langer introduced in 4 years, but will he get it? I don't know. Do you think some of that was taken into consideration with maybe not giving someone like Lockyer a nod last night?
I think Lockie will get there. Like,
Do
because,
you?
Yeah, he will. He would absolutely be an immortal. I think because he is younger, he will get there. I think what was so special as a Dragons fan, seeing Norm Proven get that, even though he sadly was too ill to attend. His daughter made the speech and was so emotional, and you know, like he's on the premiership trophy, and just he's an icon, and for him to finally get that, I think that was just so special. I had a little tear in my eye watching that. That was really special, and he is an icon of the game. So yeah, I think. Yeah, it felt very, everything was just put right last night. Everything was just, put right, I think.
I think rugby league has a tendency, there's no secrets in rugby league. As soon as something happens, it gets out. The fact that they managed to keep that under wraps, I think it's a credit to them.
It was classy.
I think from what I've understood, it was Phil Gould who actually suggested that those 3 pre-war players should all be put through.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's one of the smartest things the rugby league's done, because what it does now is it puts, as you say, it puts a full stop on that side of it. They've righted the wrongs of history. And you've got to remember, this was actually started by a magazine.
Rugby League Week,
And, you know, the NRL have taken over ownership. I think one of the Pulatua brothers is now running it.
Frank.
And full credit to them and what they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.